Hello, everyone. Welcome to season 4 of Tailgate Talk. This is episode 1. A little bit different format this week. Nick is off gallivanting in California, and Joe's on his honeymoon. Congrats to Joe. We'll give him a proper congratulations when he gets back for week 1. So to help me out this week, I've got my father, Dad. Go ahead and say hi to the people.
Hello, people.
So this is a different episode. We're not even doing week 0 stuff. This really, if you've been living under a rock, you might not have heard, but the NCAA has given their punishment to Michigan, and by golly, it's barely a slap on the wrist. Ended up with $20 million fine. They've got a couple of like show no clause type things for Connor Stallions, who was not a coach there, for Jim Harbaugh, who is not going back there. Um, Sharon Moore, Michigan has done a self-imposed um, what's the word I'm looking for? Suspension for weeks 3 and 4 against Central Michigan and Nebraska, snooze. And he also has some kind of show no clause type thing. Basically, a whole lot of nothing for what was found to be 100% them cheating. Um, and it's sad. Nick did give me a statement, and I'm going to pull that up here now because I'm not prepared, but I've got it here. Nick's official statement: USC, Akron, Oklahoma State, just a few examples of schools that have been punished severely and missed postseasons for violations committed. Michigan was proven to be cheaters and won a national championship, got away with a slap on the wrist, and even then they are appealing. It's a dark day for the sport, and it's just even more proof that the NCAA is a dumb organization that does more harm than good. So, strong words from Nick. I fully agree with him. Dad, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting irritating that uh, the blue bloods of college football get away with stuff like this. I mean, if you look back, I mean, this was like you said, it's the slap on the wrist. They, the 3 game suspension. They cherry pick the games. It's like they're like scrimmages anyway. So it's really disappointing that they're really letting this stuff go by. And what it does is it just shows to all the other programs that can afford it that all you got to do is pay a fine and you can win a national championship. It's no big deal. Um, the NCAA is really they're getting pathetic. I mean, if you look at what they did with Penn State and the Sandusky thing, now this, it's just what's the point? What are you even there for? It's just really disheartening, and it's really terrible for all the other programs that do it right or try to do it right. But in this case, this is blatant cheating. They admitted it. They spent, $35,000 to cheat like this. They said it was you know the quote that I saw said that it was, let me find it, overwhelming evidence of an elaborate off-campus in-person scouting operation led by Stallions. So it's just, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, it's not like college football used to be when I was your age. It was, it was a whole lot more integrity involved then. I mean, yeah, there was cheating. It wasn't, it just doesn't seem as blatant as it is now. And it's really disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's the absolute gall that Michigan seems to have about it all. They're appealing. They're saying we don't think we did anything wrong, and we don't think that what you've given us we should go ahead and do. Like the complete disillusion that what they did was not cheating is ridiculous in my opinion. Um, you've got you've got some programs like you look at, I think USC got some kind of postseason ban for Reggie Bush signing autographs and taking money for it, and he
I
still
don't
doesn't have
even
his
think it
Heisman
was
for it.
that. Was it that his parents uh, leased or found a house through an agent? It was his parents. It wasn't even him.
Reggie
Could be
Bush
wrong, but
in
that's what I
college.
read earlier. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
marred. So it
it,
says his time marred by allegations of improper. Yeah, so either way, he's lost his Heisman for taking improper benefits, which is plain for
and
the
now it's legal. And
and now that's
actually,
legal.
that's why he got reinstated as Heisman is because now it's legal, or back then it wasn't.
Hmm.
But
So
this is
that but
illegal.
that
This is
that had
still illegal.
repercussions. I think USC like had to vacate games for that. And I think they might
I think they
like
maybe vacated
maybe
championship.
yeah. So for that improper benefits of just getting some guy to play for the school, and they're willing to vacate a championship for that. This is cheating on the field. This is going in and tilting the actual gameplay throughout the game throughout for across it was like 50 different teams and not only that but then there's allegations of them taking that video and sending it to other teams to help them get a more favorable like playoff run like the the way that this ballooned is so much bigger than anything else we have ever seen and the punishment does not fit the crime in my opinion.
Now, I think the NCAA, like I said before, it sends a signal that if you can afford it, you can do whatever you want, and you can win a championship as long as you can pay the fine. I also read somewhere that the percent of the fine compared to their endowment is like 0.01%, some ridiculously low number. Like somebody could just, pocket change could pay for that, and it wouldn't impact them. So it really it has no bearing on them at all, especially when you think about, the Stallions isn't even there anymore. He got for whatever his suspension was. Um, the head coach Sharon Moore now 3 games that are meaningless games. I mean, if you want to take a bite, make them make it the Ohio State game. Make it pick the games that he has to sit out, or make him sit out a season, or something a little more severe, something that shows that it's not going to be tolerated. But obviously, what it does show is it will be tolerated, and that's just discouraging for all the teams that are busting their tail trying to get there.
And Sharon Moore's like suspension for those games was self-imposed by Michigan. That wasn't even the NCAA coming in and saying anything about that. So they don't even have to take ownership over instituting that type of punishment. So I guess my question to you, Dad, is in your opinion, what should have been the punishment? What should have been done to make sure that this does not happen in the future?
Well, I think the championship should have been taken away. And I think didn't they win the Big Ten that year too? So that should be taken away. It's post-mortem, so it may not seem like a big deal, but it is. You don't give it to the team they beat, but it just shows that they shouldn't have won that. I think the coaches that were involved should be suspended for at least a year. Um, I understand not wanting to punish the players that are there now because they didn't do it. The players didn't really do it anyway. It was the coaches. But you also have to think about all the teams that lost because of this cheating. What happens to those kids? Nobody, they're obviously not concerned about them. Not that you're going to give them victories, but maybe that's what they should have done. Maybe they should have vacated every game that they could prove that they cheated and give back, all the money that they won for those championships. That should be given back too. I think it should have been much harsher. It was blatant cheating. They had a guy go out and videotape. It's illegal. You just can't do that. Um, but it's, like I said before, it's just the integrity of the game is really impacted by this, and it just sets a really bad precedent. What do you think they
Yeah.
should have done?
I mean, absolutely that season should have been vacated at the minimum. I think it was more than just that season, but that one at a minimum, every win there should have been vacated. And honestly, um, I don't really care that the players that are there are gone, that's the NCAA's problem because it took them 2 years to go through all this. When we were watching in real time and said, "Oh, this is cheating. This is ridiculous," and Stallion got fired or he got let go, released in season because of that. In order for them to make it appear like they were not abiding by what he was doing. So in real time, we know what was going on. NCAA did not react quick enough. That's on them. I think that's their fault. I don't. You feel bad for the players, but at the same time, the way that that entire program, from the players to the coaches to uh, their board, their president, every single person involved in this, not one person is showing 1 ounce of remorse over anything.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Nothing. So they lose all sympathy for me. I think that there needs to be a postseason ban,
And
and
I think
I would make it severe because this is the integrity of the game we're talking about. This is on the level of what the Houston Astros were doing, and I still I don't remember off the top of my head what was done from that, but I don't think that was done enough either.
I don't think much of anything was done with that.
So I have issues with that too. Either way, this is blatant cases of cheating in a sport that is supposed to represent all the best that this country has to offer.
And I don't really understand what his penalty is. He's not involved in college football anymore. What what are the what does he get out of this? I mean, if anybody should be penalized, it's him. But of course, he's not there anymore. It's oddly enough that he quit right after all this stuff happened. Besides the fact that he was already under suspension for stuff that he had done before. I mean, this guy is a blatant cheater. He should, he should be not considered, like if he was ever considered for any like Hall of Fame or anything like that. Not that he would be, because he honestly wasn't that good at Michigan. He had 1 year. Um, he, to me, in my opinion, he's about as bad as they come. He is a cheater. He's shown it several times.
Yeah, and his punishment is that if he goes back, then he serves a suspension, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's for the original one. I don't even I'm reading through this and I don't understand at all what this like show of cause thing that they're talking about is for Sharon Moore and for Harbaugh and Stallions. It feels like a whole lot of nothing. And so who really knows? But the whole point is if he goes back to college, then he gets impacted by it. But if he goes back to college, he's not going back to Michigan. So it doesn't even impact the team that he originally did this with. Then I see the the punishment now rippling out to people who had no connection to any of this. So that's why I think you need to own it. It's the school. The school allowed this to happen. The school has not taken ownership over any of it. At the end of the day, it's the institution that needs to be held to the highest level of accountability. And if they're not, then that just gives every single other program in this country the ability to do whatever they want to do.
And you would think Michigan is a big name. They're a prestigious school. They're not Ivy League, but they're pretty prestigious. You would think that they would want to clear their name. They're clearing a name by appealing. Same thing with Penn State. Penn State to me was the epitome of that disgusts me to this day, and it will forever. I mean, what they did and the way they covered it up and the way their response afterwards, it just sickens me. Uh, the Joe Pa stuff. You can't do this or whatever. I mean, you got to be kidding me. This guy covered up pedophilia. That is the lowest of the low. Both instances, I just think that the NCAA had an opportunity to make things right, to show that there is integrity in the sport, and they muffed both times. Seriously, and it's really disappointing because it sends such a bad message. And obviously, Michigan followed in Penn State's steps. They they can get away with it. So, or they're going to do what they can to get away with it because to them, a national championship is the end all. And instead of doing it the right way, they cheated and they got rewarded for it.
I mean, I don't really have much more to add after that. I know when I was talking with Nick earlier, he's I can be feel pretty confident that his main issue is with the NCAA and all this. I do not want to let Michigan off the hook because they were compliant in it. They were allowing this to happen because they wanted a championship. Um, so I do not want them to be able to skirt by with the NCAA giving them a ticky-tack penalty.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
both the NCAA and Michigan have a lot of soul searching to do, in my opinion.
The NCAAs, they're just ridiculous. They're ridiculous. They will eventually be uh, dissolved because
Absolutely.
they can't do what they're supposed to do. Um, but like you said, Michigan has some soul searching to do. That's what bothers me about all these instances. If you feel that you have to cheat, which blatantly cheat to win, then you shouldn't don't hang a banner. You don't deserve to hang a banner because you cheated your way to do it. I as nothing. I just in general I hate cheaters. I just do it the right way. If you do it the right way, then you celebrate you. If you don't, then you don't deserve it. And it's just terrible for football.
I think this is a major stain on Michigan's legacy as a program. When you look at the at schools and their prestige, and you see how they handle adversity, you see how they handle, the highs and the lows. This is something that is going to stick with them for a while, even if it doesn't impact them on the field. This is a permanent stain, a permanent tarnish on their record that I personally will not let them forget. Um, but that just in general, I hope the entire college football loving community will be able to recognize and say, this is not okay. This is not what college football stands for, and never let them forget that.
Yeah, I mean, so many things are changing about college football that's making it more like NFL that they need to hang on to what they can. It used to be, when it was, when I was going through school many, many years ago, it was just a different sport. It was like high school on steroids. You loved your school, you were fierce rivals before the game when when another team came to school or came to your school to play through the game. But as soon as the game was over, everybody was friends. It wasn't, and that's just from the fan standpoint. It was a simpler time, obviously, and for the older people, we all talk about simpler times, and that goes even for the generation before me. They talk about how life was simpler then. It's the same kind of thing, and unfortunately, we're letting things get out of control where it's not going to be the same, and you're going to lose fans because it starts to look more like the NFL. I don't even watch the NFL anymore. I only watch the playoffs. To me, it's not the product it used to be. I mean, I used to live for football. I mean, I would be in front of TV, from Friday night, and they didn't have Thursday games back then, but from Friday until Sunday night, or even Monday night too, because they have Monday Night Football. I'd be glued to the TV. And now I don't watch any football on Sundays. Um, and if I watch the Monday night game, I'll probably watch a quarter or a half, and that's it. I used to stay up and watch the whole games, but it's just not the product isn't what it used to be. It just isn't. So and a lot of it goes to uh, again, it goes back to me the integrity of the sport. If you don't like, there's been a lot of talk last few years in the NFL about the refs favoring certain teams. That has an impact on watching the games. If you know that, or if you feel like um, your team is not going to get a fair square or a fair shake, it's harder to root for it. I know we're going on a tangent here, but I think
Well, I think it's all relevant. I mean, it's the
all
health of the
relevant.
sport. I mean, you look at it, you can see that if we go and we take a step back, we say like, hey, there's a macro level of like you look at the conferences in college football that are considered the best, the SEC and the Big Ten, and that kind of does that same thing of like they get all the breaks. They are the favored ones when it comes to how the polls treat them and everything. It's similar to kind of what you were talking about with the refs in the NFL. Like, I think that if we continue down this route of saying the rich can do whatever they want and they can spend whatever they want and it'll be a slap on the wrist if anything comes out of it, then you're going to continue to devolve our sport in that way. And so my question then becomes, what do you think, Dad, that we should do that needs to be done? If you were the college football czar, the new commissioner of college football, how would we go about fixing this?
Well, I honestly don't know the answer to that one. The fact that you mentioned a college football czar, I think we need that. I think we need a governing body that will actually advocate for fairness in football. And when Nick Saban retired, there was a lot of talk about potentially him taking that job. I think he'd be great at it. I think he might be a little biased towards Alabama and the SEC, and a lot of people worried about that. But I think probably better than what we have now. I do think he has a lot of integrity, and he would do things the right way. You're always going to get people who are going to complain that because it didn't go your way that it was biased, but I think he would be someone good for the sport. I think I would like to see it. If they're going to have these super conferences, at least do it in a way where there's some regionality to it, so that you do get to play the teams that are closer to you. So the people that go to these games are, it doesn't kill them to get to them. I mean, we're talking about going to the Clemson LSU game next year in New Orleans. That'll be our away game. That's it. We're not going to go to other ones. That'll be too much money to go to other places. And if Clemson ends up joining one of these massive conferences, I'm actually forget about that. Just look at the ACC now. If we wanted to go see, if let's say we played SMU and I don't know, Cal in the same season away, we're not going to those games. I mean, they're too far. Forget about even the cost, but just the time it would take to get to it. I mean, it's 5 or 6 hour flight from here to San Francisco. That's a day. It's there and back. Like it doesn't give any time to see the school and enjoy the fans from the other team. Where regionality did that. I mean, I went, when I was in school, we went to some road games, not a lot, but we did go to some. And like I said before, it was you hated each other before the game, uh, and during the game, and then afterwards, it was everybody was having a good time. Now, whether you won or lost might be dictate how much fun you had, but you still, you had a good time doing it. And I think you're losing all of that because you don't have anything. Here's another thing. As a student, the regionality also means that you might be, some of these schools that you're playing, you may have friends there, people you went to high school with. You're not going to have people that you went to high school with when you're playing SMU or Cal. I mean, there's nothing there. So it just, there's nothing really to
Speaking
go.
from the perspective of a Clemson fan, for
Yeah.
those who go to SMU and Cal, I'm sure your campuses are beautiful and you think that there's a lot to go on there, but
And I would
in that
love
in
to
that
see them, but
in that focus.
but time dictates how much you could actually do. And I'm also looking at it from a student perspective. It's different when you're an alumni. Your alumni typically you would choose a game to go to, and if you wanted to spend time there, you'd factor that in. But as a student, you can't really do that. And first of all, you don't have the money to do it anyway. I mean, we all piled in one car. It might be seven or 5 or 6 of us in one car traveling. Like I went the best road trip I ever went on was when I went to Georgia. It was an hour, hour and a half from Clemson, and it was unreal. We had so much fun, but it was local, and they're not even one of our, not even in our conference. They're just a rival. You're going to have those rivalries when they're regional. You don't really have them with schools when you're not in, not even the same time zone.
Yeah. I think I agree with you 100%. I wish that regionality was still a thing with these conferences. And unfortunately, it's money's dictating that. And part of that is because, of how the playoff is structured and how you're rewarding teams and conferences by having them play in it, which I think is beneficial in some aspects, but it creates that incentive to make sure that you are loading up your conference to give you as many opportunities as possible. Part of that is because of built-in bias over the years and years and years of watching college football and how these AP writers and the playoff committee and everybody, all that is factored in. I think that if we're gonna correct this, because this is completely different than the NFL. The NFL has a structure of, you're playing pretty much everyone, or you're playing most of the teams in your conference, the NFC or the AFC. You're playing your divisional teams twice. Like it's a lot smaller pool because you got four teams in division rather than we don't have that in college football. It's a 15 team conference.
Yeah, I mean
What
that's
I would go
that's
ahead.
a big thing. The difference between the pros and the college level is the pros. There's a set level of teams. It is a very specific structure on who makes the playoffs. So the really, it really is dependent on whether or not you win or lose your games. In college, because so much of it is driven by polls, where you've got people that just vote for their conference. They don't even vote, it's not necessarily who they think is the best team because they will beat up a conference like if you just take the Big Ten and the SEC versus the ACC, because those are the conferences we watch. Um, they'll spend the whole year beating down on the ACC. You know how many years we've heard that Clemson doesn't play anybody, and yet we had arguably one of the best championships against Alabama's supposedly the team of the century, and we crushed them. You're dealing with 18-year-olds that, you know, maybe they didn't sleep well the night before. Maybe the girlfriend called in the middle of the night or what have you. Things happen to 18-year-olds. It doesn't happen in the pros. So there's that. There's the 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 pollsters that vote, and they vote with biases, whether people can argue against it or not. I mean, if you just watch the two big sports shows, the Fox one and ESPN's Game Day, it's very biased. And if you think it isn't, then you're not watching. But all of that sticks in the minds of voters. They build these conferences up like they are the teams to beat, and there's teams that can beat them. I mean, look at was it Arizona State? Look how far they went last year. That we weren't anywhere near what we were supposed to be last year. We almost we took Texas to the end of the. I mean, I don't remember when to overtime. I don't think it did, but it was a close game until the end. Nobody gave us a chance to win that game. Um, SMU, I mean, look at them. Who would have ever expected a school that was last year was a group of five, comes into, or the year before was a group of five, came into the ACC and almost won the conference. I mean, if these, I'm not saying that everybody deserves a chance, but I think there's a lot of things that change. One, I think you can separate, you can have a national championship for, I guess now Power Four, and another one for a group of five. Then they all get a chance to win a championship. That's what they want. I mean, um, they it works great for uh, the FCS teams. Their playoffs have gone well for years. Um,
I don't even think you necessarily have to break it out that much if you didn't want to. If you wanted to have it just be the FBS level, we have 10 conferences total. Right now we've got a 12 team playoff. So in my eyes, if you wanted to if you wanted to do away with any kind of bias and just say, you know what, do whatever you want to do in terms of schedule. The most important thing is you and your conference, you get to represent your conference in the playoff. Now you've got 10 of those spots filled out, and then the other two, you've got, I in my eyes, honestly, I would probably reduce it from 12 down to 10. I would force teams like Notre Dame to join a conference in football. So that way you don't have this built-in bias or this excuse or everyone's on just putting everyone on the same playing field. That's what I would do if it were me. I'd have a 10-team playoff. Every single conference gets to um, send one of their winner, and you can still have a poll in order to seed. You can have a committee to seed. I don't really care about that, but you do that, and it gives everyone a fair shake. If you want to win, you got to win your conference. Do we like? Is that really such a blasphemy thing to say? Is that really so awful to say? I need you to win your conference to be considered the best team in the country. I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. I also the one thing they did get right is the playoff games at on campus locations. That's awesome to me. I think I want to see more of that.
Yeah,
It's a shame that the teams that were the top four seeds didn't get a home game because those are phenomenal, and a playoff atmosphere at your home stadium would be unreal. Um, who knows? Maybe this year we'll get that, but I would have loved to have gone to a home playoff game. I just think it's you earn the right to to be seated in that way that you deserve a chance to play in front of your home crowd. And in some cases, some of those games, those NFL stadium games aren't anywhere near your home base. And when you think about all the traveling that people have to do as it is, um, to make them travel that much farther for a playoff game when other schools get to play at home. Look at Penn State really benefited from that last year. They got to play at home against SMU. I think that really helped them.
yeah.
And I just think it's just that is good for college football. So I'd like to see more of that.
Mhm. And part of that is you have those top seeds not able to get it because they want to try and still keep the bowl games as relevant as possible. At this point, with players opting out of bowl games, unfortunately, I think the bowl game prestige has gone down. You can still keep that, but when you look at the playoff, I think the playoff needs to be separate from it because it dilutes it, and it gives you then the opportunity that the higher seeds do get that chance to host. Unfortunately, we somehow, in what I thought was going to be a shorter episode, we're running up on our time. So just to recap, to bring it back to what we originally talked about, Michigan and NCAA, y'all have some soul searching to do. Y'all suck. Get better, and I'll be watching the whole time. And go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
And where, yeah, oh God, the first episode couldn't find the stop recording button. Here we go. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.